So Brave Writer, every single year, all year round, offers writing classes online. But what we do is completely different than what else you'll see in the online market. And I want to help you understand it so you can make good decisions for your family. Back when Brave Writer began, which was January of 2000, I discovered that I could coach writing through email. Isn't that funny? I had been writing my book, The Writer's Jungle, which actually I'm going to show it to you because I have a copy of it sitting right here, The Writer's Jungle. I was writing this book and I needed people to help me test my ideas. So I set up an email list called the Guinea Pigs. And what they would do is they would read a chapter and then test the activities that I had included. And then they'd give me feedback. And my promise to them was free help with writing. I was coaching them and their kids in how to write. So this whole manual, The Writer's Jungle, this is it, was far better because I had these 40 moms giving me direct, really high quality feedback, and they were actually working with their children. Now here's what was really cool. They all liked the activities. They were all very effective at helping their kids grow as writers. And they also really liked that I was able to give them direct communication, comments, helping them understand the effort their child was making, showing them a better way if they got stuck or they had an issue. And it suddenly dawned on me, right as we published this book, that I could also offer a version of it as an online class. So I set up this little email group and I posted on a couple of major homeschool discussion boards. There were only like 2 back then. It was really the dark ages of internet life. And I said, if anybody's interested, I'm offering an online writing class through an email list. And back then, of course, my first class, it was like $25. And all these people signed up. It filled up completely. And for 8 weeks, I went through and did the activities and exercises in this book, and we would exchange emails. Everybody got to read everybody's writing, and everyone got to read my comments on everybody's writing. And we built what I felt was a writing support group atmosphere. It was like a workshop around writing, like the best kind of writing support, the kind of thing that adult writers create for themselves, where they meet in a coffee shop and everybody reads each other's work and then they all comment on it together. It was that vibe, except it was directed at children and it was about homeschooling. So I was bringing both my expertise as a writer and my evolving expertise as a home educator to the table, and we all were growing together. Well, that class was so successful, I immediately decided I need to do this on the regular. So I set up a second class. That one filled overnight as well. And in those classes, there was one woman whose writing stood out as extraordinary. And I said to my husband at the time, I said, John, I'm going to hire Rachel. I'm going to ask her to be a teacher for Brave Writer. And he looked at me and he said, what do you mean? You've barely started. How could you already be hiring a teacher? And I said, no, this thing's going to be big. I had a lot of faith in my ideas. I was like, this is going to be big. I'm going to need help. I can't do it alone. And besides, this is a great method. And I want more people to have access. If it's only me, I'll only ever be teaching 20 or 25 people at a time. But if I really think this could make a difference in people's lives, we've got to have other teachers. So by the end of my first year, I had my first hire. And Rachel started teaching the classes. I trained her, and she became this amazing instructor. In fact, I still use quotes of hers when I teach at conferences. We're still good friends. And her kids are all grown like mine are now too. She's a phenomenal writer. All that to say, back in the dark ages, we used email lists effectively to teach writing. There was no video. There was no discussion board. You had to sort through the emails to figure out who was responding to who. But guess what? We loved it. Everybody was into it. You woke up in the morning and the first thing you wanted to do was open your email and see who had commented. And we had little side conversations about homeschooling or parenting issues or something that we were reading because it created community. This was not a class where you plug in your child and you go into the other room to do math with the 12-year-old and you hope your child is paying attention to a woman who's using a PowerPoint and there's the scrolling chat bar where kids are talking about Nintendo while the teacher is trying to explain how to use a comma. That's not what this is. This is not a classroom experience of school and then we somehow remanufacture and package it to fit the internet. It's not tutorial model like they use in some online, even professional colleges, where you email in your writing to like a central hub and then that gets sent to a teacher and you never actually know each other's names or email addresses. That's not what this is. The model for Brave Writer writing instruction is built from discussion. It's built from the discussion board model of homeschooling, of needing each other, of wanting to communicate with one another because we're actually alone. You know how you just wish you knew how a third grader should write? Well, how are you going to find that out if your student is in a class where they submit their work and all you ever see back is an instructor's comments? You don't see another single third grader write a paper. If you never get to read 20 exhibits of writing, how can you get a sense of what feels appropriate for a 10-year-old? Well, we solved that for you. And I discovered it early on. What I saw was kids and parents thrive when they have community support, when they are engaged with each other, when they can have side conversations in addition to instruction, when they're able to see the instructor feedback on everybody's writing, not just their one paper. You know, I do this in college. When I teach at Xavier University, I have moments where we all read each other's work, not because I want that weird peer review feedback. That often is really not very helpful. I just want them to get a feel for other styles of writing, other ways of weaving in your paraphrase or your quote, hearing how the ideas landed with their peers, not just with themselves. Maybe being sparked by an idea they hadn't even thought to consider. Well, that's what goes on in Brave Writer classes. Your kids are reading all the papers, not just their own. They're reading all the feedback on everybody's work, not just their own. When you, the parent, are enrolled in a class, you have access to the instructor 24 hours a day whenever she's online. Right now, we don't have any men instructors, or I'd say he and she. It's all women right now. But literally, there are no office hours. You don't have to wait for Thursday when you have a question on Monday. You can just pop it right into our discussion board, and that instructor who checks every day for new comments is going to come back and answer your question. And if you post one of your pieces of writing, you're going to get a response. It's going to be a detailed, living, reader-style comment. It's not going to be vague, a squiggly line, a little like parenthetical that says passive voice with a question mark, where you're left to puzzle out what did this instructor actually mean. No, it's things like, wow, you really grabbed me with that opening sentence. I can see where you're going. I'm curious. Can you tell me a little more about? I really love the way you supported this idea in your essay. I'm wondering if it might be more powerful as a quote. Right now you have a paraphrase. Let's pop the quote in and see what happens. It's like that. It's dialogical. It's friendly. It helps you see what the process is that you can engage in to expand and enrich the writing. It is not about correction. It's not about evaluation. It is literally about engaging with you in your process as a coach. You know, can you imagine if you were at a soccer practice and all the coach did is make these cryptic statements like right foot, hips. You wouldn't know what to do. Sometimes you need the coach to come up and move your hips for you to show you how to angle your foot to line it up with the net. That's what we do in our classes. Someone's asking if these classes are appropriate for fourth graders. We're getting there now. Our classes are good for kids all the way from the youngest ages, 6, 7, up to 18. When your kids are 8, 9, and under, Usually we enroll you, the parent, with your child. We don't expect your child to do the physical act of, writing or typing. You'll be the one interacting with the instructor, but you will type your child's writing into the classroom. And then the instructor will give comments on that writing for you to use so that the two of you can dialogue about how to grow the writing. We have 3 kinds of classes, so I'm going to go through that now, and then we'll look at the list that we have open for fall, okay? So there are 3 types. There is a type of class where the parent is enrolled as the student, and then the kid is doing the activities. Nakomi is asking me if a 13-year-old boy who dislikes the act of writing will benefit, and where can he start? We are getting there. I will help you with that in just a minute. I will not forget, I promise. So the first kind of class that we enroll kids in often is what we call the Writer's Jungle Online. It is made from this book, and it is designed to train you and your child in building a writing partnership. So Nakomi, for instance, if you have a reluctant 13-year-old, I would recommend that the two of you start with the Writer's Jungle Online. Here's why. Your child is not required to write or type. You're going to do it with and for him. Now, he can do the drafting, but he isn't going to have to type anything into the classroom. You are going to be the student. And you can even say to your 13-year-old student, we are enrolled in this class together, and the instructor is helping me make writing less painful for you. Here's what's amazing. The very first activity in the Writer's Jungle Online class doesn't even require you to write a word. It's an oral game that you play with your child or your children play together to start to experience the nature of blind communication, which is what writing is. And your kids will be shocked because the very first thing they realize is, I'm in a writing class and nobody asked me to write. It flips the script on them. Also, you, the parent, will be getting feedback from the instructor. So you're going to grow. You're going to learn. If your child is crying, the instructor is going to give you tactics to flip the script on that experience and make it a better one, so that your child will not hate writing and you will be the one who ushers in that new experience, that new reality. For kids who are entering 5th grade, the Writer's Jungle Online, this is always where to start. If you've never done Brave Writer and you have a kid who can read, start with the Writer's Jungle Online. The reason is I seek your conversion to a better way of thinking about writing. I'm all in on our pedagogy. We have now seen it work for 30,000 families. You will discover that how we think about writing transforms not only how you teach writing, but how you relate to your children in your homeschool. Because we come from a partnership model, a collaborative spirit, and we give you the tools that will eventually lead to independent writing. But we start with collaboration. Absolutely. Saying that it's your class, that you're being trained, that if you have a child who hates writing, here's what you say. I must have blown it because you hate writing. So you know what I'm doing? I'm enrolling in a class that's going to teach me how to make your life less painful. And you're going to come along for the ride and tell me the truth the whole time. So that if you don't like something, you tell me. And then I will be telling the instructor, I'm blowing it. I don't know how to help him like it better. That's how you enroll your child in this class, because that's actually the truth of what's going to happen. And we will transform that relationship for you. I saw another question and it went out of my mind. Oh, does the Writer's Jungle Online cover all the chapters of the Writer's Jungle? It does not. It covers the first 10. And the reason is the first 10 are dedicated to the writing process, to training you to be the writing coach your child needs. The second half of the manual, you don't need an instructor for. You can easily read it. I mean, people use the Writer's Jungle alone all the time. They don't have to be in the class. So just know that going in. However, the part that needs the additional support for some parents is the writing process, because they are entrenched in an old way of thinking. And they are used to always relying on rubrics and checklists and formats and structure and evaluating the mechanics. And so what happens is they start reading the Writer's Jungle, and it is such a brain twist, such a paradigm shift, that they don't trust it. They don't go forward with confidence. They keep thinking, but something's missing. And so when they take the online class, they suddenly have an instructor who helps them through that passage. The name of the class is the Writer's Jungle Online. It is our main class. It's the one we offer the most sessions of. It's 6 weeks long, and it helps you and your kids build a writing partnership so that they will be good at writing for the rest of their lives. They will know that they can face a blank page or a blank screen and know what to do. And you will have the confidence to know how to support that growth. You'll start to understand what kind of feedback you can give that grows the writing and what kind of feedback you give that diminishes the desire to write. And once you start to master those skills, your kids will really take off. So the Writer's Jungle Online is our core class. It enrolls the parent, and then you can add as many kids as you want. There is a price for the first child, $249 for 6 weeks. And then it's a second price for the second child. And because it's been a while, I forgot what it is, so let me look it up. The price for the second child is $149, okay? Absolutely. Ambra, you are brilliant. She says, this sounds like it will help me not be scared of the blank page. Guess what? We have had countless parents tell us that it has completely changed how they write. Just by entering into our world, all of that damage from when you were in grade school or high school or college where somebody marked up your paper with a red pen, it gets healed. Because we start to show you that you are of value and what you're communicating matters. And you can start to take away some of that sort of overly scrupulous kind of measuring stick that school uses and start to reinvest value in communication. I love Amy saying this. It will help me break the mistake of trying to duplicate public school at home. I hope some of my team are capturing these amazing statements. Amy, this is the perfect description of what we try to do in the Writer's Jungle Online or in the Writer's Jungle itself. Absolutely. I am wondering if the Writer's Jungle class would be helpful for me knowing how to teach my kids. That, Christine, in a nutshell, is what it's designed for. It is designed to help you know how to teach writing to your kids. That's what the class is. That's why we always say the parent is the student. Now, your kids are doing the writing. There's nothing to teach if they are writing something for you to look at. So they're doing the exercises. But the goal is for you to watch this instructor model the process to you, engage your child's writing, answer your questions, help you through the stuck places, address the crisis right when it happens. You know what I mean? Like, let's say there's this great exercise that we put forward, and when you try it, your child dissolves into a puddle of tears. Isn't that a lonely moment? You've heard all these people say, oh, Brave Writer's amazing. I love the Writer's Jungle. And then when you try it, it completely fails. It bombs. Your kid is a mess. Don't you feel lonely in that moment? And maybe like there's something wrong with you or all these other people are lying? Well, if you're in the class, you get to tell the truth and express what happened. You can literally say, my child had a complete meltdown. Here's what I said. Here's what she did. Here's what happened between us. And that instructor is going to come in with a little pixie dust and help you see it in a new way, give you another strategy to try, show you how to heal the breach. It's coaching. It's not just instruction. Lori says, do you watch videos from the teacher or meet online? Do you have to meet at a certain time every day? We're getting there, but since you asked it, I'm going to answer it right now. The email model from early on, and if you missed the beginning of this talk, go back and rewatch the beginning. I share with you how the model of our writing class program got started. The model we use is an internet discussion board. So it's asynchronous. You can live in New Zealand and literally take our classes and never be behind. Isn't that amazing? In other words, there's no time to log in. 40% of the Brave Writer online students live outside the United States and Canada. Did you know that? So I would never use the live class model for Brave Writer. It's dishonoring to almost half of our customers. What we want is this. We want you to log in when you've had a good cup of tea, eaten your food, feel nourished and ready to go, and you click on a link and there is, a screen's worth of information for you to read. You can print it out if you want to create your own notebook. And then you mull it over, you digest it, you think, okay, the communication game. And you think about what that is. And then you look at your calendar and you think, Wednesday we have a free afternoon. I'm going to make some cookies and we're going to play the communication game as a family. And you block out that afternoon and you play the game. And you use the notes and you admit to your child, oh, shoot, wait, I don't know if we're doing it right. Let me reread that one section. Okay, yep, we are. Let's do it. And then you do it. And when it's done, you get online and you type in what happened because it's fresh, because you can, because it's daylight on your side of the world. And that comment, that little narrative of what took place between you and your kids is posted inside our private classroom that is just for students and the instructor. And then your instructor will wake up in the morning in her time zone in Texas, let's say, and she's going to read all these new posts from these excited moms, and she's going to copy the message into her box and comment throughout. She'll say, yay, high five, you made cookies. What a great idea. Oh, I see that Micah really understood the symbolism behind making an illustration rather than describing it in inches. Great job, Micah. Oh, you had a hard time with Becky. She started crying. Tell me more about that. When did the tears come? What part of the assignment was she struggling with? It's like that. And then you'll be off, at soccer practice and doing math. And later that night before you get in bed, you're like, I want to check in the classroom. And you'll open it up and there's this lovely reply from the instructor, soothing you with her words, giving you inspiration and ideas. Literally, that's how our classes are. And our online classes are only 3 to 6 weeks. Because we know you're pregnant, getting ready to have a baby. We know you're getting ready to move because you're in the military. We know you've got the best soccer star in Oklahoma and he's on the select soccer team and he's got a tournament in November. There's no way you can commit to a semester. Isn't that the whole reason you opted out of the school system? You don't want the pressure of getting up at a certain time, being online right at 10, hoping the technology works and you've got the headset working. You don't want to feel like you have to commit for 16 weeks when you don't know what's coming at the end of the semester. So you sign up for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks, depending on the class. Should we, as parents, read The Writer's Jungle this summer before taking the class this fall? You are welcome to, not required. Totally up to you. Some families, some moms especially, really love that. They love the luxurious sort of, I'm just letting the information live inside me a little bit, rearrange itself, challenge my assumptions, get familiar, and then they jump in the class and it all starts to really work for them. Others are like, kill me now. Do I have to read 218 pages as a homework assignment in the middle of the summer when I should be at the pool? And I say, exactly, go to the pool, let the class do its work. The information you need for class is provided in the class, so you don't have to go buy something extra. You just show up and we will hold your hand for 6 weeks. How's that sound? We also have a couple other classes that are built from that model. So when you're looking at our classes and their descriptions, look to see whether the parent is enrolled with the student or not. The second type we have is called a student class. What that means is your child is the student and they interact directly with the instructor. The parent is encouraged to read along but doesn't have to. So all of our high school classes are that way. And then we have some junior high and elementary ones that are like that. For example, Write for Fun is a 3-week romp through writing activities that are very short. They're things like nursery rhymes or a couple of paragraphs. They're never long. And it is designed for kids who want some independence. They don't want their mom in class, and they want to be challenged to write, but we do not focus on mechanics in that class. All we do is encourage creative writing, and we give positive, expanding feedback. We help them grow the writing, but we don't focus on spelling and punctuation. That's not the focus of that class. And it's for kids anywhere from 8 to 12 or 13 or 14. We've had kids even as old as 15 in there, but I would say 13, 14 is pretty top end. And that class builds some independence. It's only 3 weeks long, so nobody wears out. In fact, the most common comment at the end of Write for Fun is, wait, it's over? I want to do more. And then here's what we say back. You're in luck. We have 3 versions of Write for Fun. So if your kid loves the first one, they can do the second and third, and they go in any order. Okay? Angie is asking a question about the Arrow Book Club. They're only 1 month long. Are they linked to the book that is currently being discussed in that subscription? Yes. So one of the styles of classes we have is a book club. That's a student class. It follows under this umbrella of student classes. Your child is enrolled directly and interacts with the instructor. Each of our book club classes lasts a month. Those classes, the books that we read, are determined by our Arrow and Boomerang subscription programs. You do not have to buy those programs to participate in the book club. If you sign up for a book club class, you will receive the Arrow or Boomerang that goes with that month. So, for instance, in August, we are reading the Penderwicks, the very last book in that series for the Arrow Book Club. It is also going to be the Arrow for that month. And so if you signed up for that class, you'd read the book on your own, you'd get the book on your own, you would receive a copy of the Arrow for that month, and you would be led in a conversation about the discussion questions. Our book clubs are discussion groups. They are not parties. They talk about the book. Our goal is to get your kid to use his brain and his fingers to start thinking about how to share analysis without the burden of formats. This is a precursor to academic expository writing. We want our kids hooked up with their insight before they have to start thinking about how to funnel that insight into the expository essay. So if you put your kids in our Arrow or Boomerang book clubs, they're going to get to talk through typing, which is writing, but they don't know they're writing. And the questions get put forward. They can read each other's reactions and comments. The instructor will give encouraging feedback. There is a dynamic where they are encouraged to comment on each other's. So that's what those are. So that is also in the same model as this student to the teacher, and the parent isn't enrolled. Do you have a class that is similar to Write for Fun but focuses on longer stories? Yes. We have Passion for Fiction, we have Advanced Techniques in Fiction, and we have Writing the Short Story. Those get offered at different times during the year. I am now going to look at the fall schedule to tell you what fiction classes we have available. Let me see. Passion for Fiction will be offered October 15th through November 9th. And that one is about getting the toolkit to write longer stories. So our students won't write a full story in that class. What they're going to do is they're going to do a laser focus on dialogue, setting, character development, outlining a plot, creating a climax, like that. So that they're starting to focus on the craft of writing fiction, not just spinning a really long yarn. It's a wonderful class. I highly recommend it. And I don't know if we have any other fiction classes in the fall. We do not. Oh, no, we do. We have Writing the Short Story. So if you have a child who wants to write a story and wants to do like the whole process, that class is brilliant. It's very demanding for our teachers, so I didn't know we were offering, but I'm really happy to see that it's being offered. Would it be okay for my daughter to take the Write for Fun class before we do Writer's Jungle Online? Yes. Many, many, many families start with Write for Fun as the gateway. I'm going to tell you this right now. It's taught by my mother. She's a professional author. She wrote for children for 25 years of her career, and now she writes for adults, and now she teaches for us. And those classes fill up lickety-split. So if you want to be in the Write for Fun classes in the fall, you're going to want to sign up on the day of registration probably, which is Monday, July 30th. So big circle on your calendar. Get ready to start clicking the mouse at noon because our classes go bonanza. They always sell out. Not always on the first day, but there will be classes that sell out on the first day. Literally, we have very few seats left in our summer. We almost sold out on day one. So fall is a big time for us, and I just want to give you fair warning. What do you recommend for an 11th grader who has written essays but needs more practice? Anything to teach research papers? Yep. We have what we call the MLA Research Essay class. I am certain it's being offered. Let me look. Oh, they're in order of... Okay, I'm going to go over here. They're in order of dates, so I'm not finding it quickly. Let me look on this other page. October 1st to November 9th is for high school students who have experience writing essays but would like to write the longer form research paper. These papers are 7 to 10 pages. They're not 20 pages, but totally doesn't matter. That's exactly the same form they'll do in college. So far we have talked about the parent-child dynamic classes, the classes that are student only. We have them for Write for Fun for young kids. We have high school classes like the MLA research essay prep, where we read the essay just for a month. Everybody's reading, learning what an essay is rather than being asked to write them. We also have things like write your own Greek myth, write a folktale. I think it's called Spinning a Folktale. Skip into science, where we do writing around the scientific method, which is awesome for your kids who are not literature people. We have classes like, I'm just going to look here, we'll get there. What else? Let me see, college prep admission essay. We have Story Switcheroo, which is a parent-child class, actually. What else? I'm looking. Just So Stories, Journaling Jumpstart. There are so many options of ways for your kids to take a writing class that cluster around a variety of activities, not just how to write a paragraph. That's not what Brave Writer does. Let's see. My 11-year-old writes very long creative stories, but I feel she needs some guidance on how to make it a finished product. Which class would you recommend? So, 2 things about this. 1, 11-year-olds who are writing creative stories may not want a finished product. For them, consider it as dress-up clothes. Remember when they used to put on, Maid Marian's outfit and they played with their brother in Robin Hood's outfit? You didn't worry about them having a finished play. Like if they stopped for lunch and never went back to where they left off, you didn't think, well, they never finished the story. A lot of older kids use fiction writing as their mature dress-up clothes. They are inhabiting the story and they are enjoying the story, but they are not interested in writing a book or even finishing what they're writing. They are only enjoying the depth of experience that comes from coordinating their hand with their fantasy. And so writing stories becomes play. So what I recommend is finding out before you touch any of that. I would leave it alone, let them enjoy it, and then say, it looks like you enjoy writing stories. Would it be fun for you to take Passion for Fiction, where you get more tools in your toolkit that help you write even more fun stories? But focus on it being not like you see your child doing cartwheels in the backyard and you think, well, she does cartwheels, but how will I get her ready for a gymnastics meet? When maybe she doesn't want to be in a meet. Maybe what would be satisfying for her is learning how to do a back handspring. So let's start with the toolkit and enjoying writing and allowing her to keep exploring it. If you want to work on her academic writing, put her in a class like middle school writing projects or writing your own Greek myth, something that is a little more structured, and she may find herself borrowing those skills into her creative writing that she does on her own. In fact, I know she will. That's just exactly how it works. I hope that helps. So we've had the parent with the child classes. We've had the child directly to the teacher. The third kind of class is our most unique. I'm going to drink a sip of tea. I lost my voice in Alabama and it's barely coming back, so I'm really forcing it today. All right, so here I am. The third kind of writing class we offer is called a family class. And this doesn't exist anywhere that I know about. A family class is where you pay one tuition price and the whole family is enrolled. Mom, dad, all the kids. Now, not everyone has to participate. You might sign up for a family class and only 2 of your 5 kids want to be in it. But you don't ever pay more money. It's just one price. I created these out of a craving I had. I had 5 children. I hated that I was being nickeled and dimed all the time for 5 kids when sometimes we just did things as a family. And I knew if I was just given the information, I could spread it out to everybody and that would be enough. It gets old having a lot of kids and not having the money to pay for each individual child. So, hence the family class. So those classes focus on aspects of the Brave Writer lifestyle that you might want to put in your family. Language-rich experiences like groovy grammar, playing with poetry, nature journaling, Shakespeare, Those are the classes where you sign up, you pay one price, and all your kids are in. They're not as demanding on our teachers because there isn't as much creative writing. But what there is writing engagement. So if you're in Groovy Grammar, for example, your kids are going to build a fictionary. They're going to do a Wild Words creative writing project where they go around and stick words all over the house and then build them into a sculpture and then into a poem. They're going to rewrite their own Jabberwocky poem after they've defined and given parts of speech to all the nonsense language in the original. Well, that's not the same as writing a research paper. So I know that if I enroll your whole family, everybody can do it. You can all be participating together, and our instructor can still teach it well. So that's what I wanted to mention to you, especially for people on a budget, new to Brave Writer, want to do a lifestyle experience, but haven't thought about being in a writing class yet. Nature journaling is wonderful in the fall, especially lovely in the fall where we live. But here's what's fun. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the spring. So you could enroll and do the spring and have that huge, beautiful experience to share with our Northern Hemisphere people who are in your same class. So I love when that happens. Playing with poetry, we have dads participating. For some reason, Suzanne is great at getting everyone in the family to write poems. So even the non-homeschooling parent, like let's say there are two of you and one of you is homeschooling and the other one isn't, the one who isn't may enjoy participating. We've had families do poetry writing on Sunday afternoons just because they wanted to involve all of the kids and both parents. Let's see, how many students in the student-focused classes, like essay writing for high school? So this year, great question, we are reducing the size of those classes. I think they're going to be 20 students. They're usually around 25, but I think some of those higher-end essay classes, we're offering more sessions, fewer students, just to make them a little more intimate. The Arrow and Boomerang Book Club are fairly sizable. They take 40 students. Our family classes take 25 families usually, and classes like Write for Fun are at 25. The majority of our classes are at 25. It is the ones that are for high school that we're considering reducing the size a little bit. I love those of you who've taken our classes chiming in and letting our new to Brave Writer audience know that you've had positive and successful experiences. Here's what's cool about Brave Writer. I hope it's cool in your view. It certainly is cool in mine. We are stirring up the urge to write. We're not telling you how to do it so that you get by and pass your school years. We're hoping that at the outcome of a class, people feel like writers, not like they've studied writing. That's the difference. We are Brave Writer. We're not Brave Writing. We're growing writers, not writing students. Can you feel the subtle difference between those two? That's what Brave Writer is about. So even our essay prep classes where for a whole month, all you do in reading the essay is read essays and type about them. That doesn't sound like a writing class, but guess what? It actually is. Because how many kids are being asked to write essays in high schools across America right now, well, or last month, who have never read an essay in their lives? The reason our kids are writing fiction and fan fiction is they've been reading novels since they were 5, 6, 8, 10 years old. The voice of fiction lives inside of them. And then they get to high school, they fall off a cliff, and their 9th grade teacher says, write an essay. And universally, kids say, I don't know how. And the teacher says back, you should have learned by now. And that's the level of instruction. Meanwhile, they've never read an essay. They have no idea what the register of the voice should be for essay writing. They don't know what it feels like to support points. So here's what we do. We spend a whole month reading essays with our students, and they don't fit all of your typical academic criteria, and yet are the most successful essays out there. We start to look at the form called the essay, which actually the word essay just means an attempt. So it's an attempt to communicate something of value, of meaning, of importance. And that's what we're trying to do in our classes. We're trying to help our kids get in touch with the unction to write. Not, phew, I learned how to do it, now I can get by, and then never do it again, which is how a lot of people feel about writing, you know? Now here's the beauty of our program. We start with, so much richness and freedom and accessing voice and creating collaboration and partnership. You might think we're just a creative writing program. Me, Julie, my personal favorite kind of writing is academic writing. Isn't that ironic? I absolutely loved writing my master's thesis. It was like a party every day in my house. You know how people online love to complain about writing, people who are writers, and they say things like, anyone who tells you they love writing is lying? Here's what I say back to that. Anybody who tells you they don't love writing and is published didn't clear the hump. They never discovered that it's about that joy of expression. They've been told it's supposed to be good and accurate. Now, that's not to say that I've never had writing block. Oh my God, many times. I mean, I'll cry over my own page. But knowing that I can bring a piece to completion is a rush. And here's why. Because I've discovered that writing moves my life and my thinking forward. So that's what we're focused on in Brave Writer. That's the goal of writing. When you can move it forward, yes, will you have hard days? Yes, will there be things that are hard? Yes. But if you knew that the blank page was your friend and not your enemy, and that you have tripped the wire to insight before, you can do it again. That's how it works with writing. And that's what we teach. And that's what we help your kids get to. I hope that makes sense. It reminds me of this. I'm going to give I love to give birth examples, and I realize that's a very feminine energy thing to do. So if you're a dad and you haven't given birth, pretend I'm talking about running a marathon or tackling somebody in football where you're using all this really strong physical energy that's painful. But why do we keep doing it? The pain is not the thing. The pain is a means to an end, whether you're running a marathon, tackling in football, or giving birth. You know that the pain is a part of this incredible process. So yes, does it hurt sometimes? Certainly. But you know so well the feeling of achievement that comes from winning the football game or even just participating in it, from crossing the finish line for 26.2 miles, for birthing your baby. Whatever it is that you have overcome that at some point was a challenge to you, and you saw the end and you knew, wow, I did that. And that reflects my achievement. That's what we're teaching in Brave Writer. We are not teaching, okay, here are the tricks you can use to do a good enough job, to get into college, to fulfill the requirement, to get a job so that you never have to do it again. That's not what we're teaching. Make sense? So our online writing classes, in a nutshell, for fall have just been posted, all of them. So you can go to our bravewriter.com/online-classes. You can click on the class schedule tab, or you can just scroll down and just start looking at our wide array of gorgeous classes. Click, please, 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 please read the description. Know what you're signing up for. It blows my mind that people will commit sometimes $500 to classes and then don't know what they're signing up for. They'll write us an email and say, wait, I didn't know a mother was in this class. I didn't want to be in the class. Or they'll write and they'll say, wait, there's no video? Please read the description. Know what you're buying. Make sure you're excited about what we're doing so that you get the maximum value. I don't want you to feel like it was a bait and switch. We don't bait or switch, but we want to make sure that your own imagination about what we do matches what we actually do. Okay? So I'm going to close with this. Brave Writer's online fall writing class program is now online, available for you to look at. Set your calendar reminders for noon Eastern on Monday, July 30th. If you know what class you want to take, sign up that day, because I can't promise you they won't fill up. The trend is the earlier in the semester classes fill up first and the later ones fill up later. But sometimes a very popular class like writing the short story, which is later in the fall, will fill up on the first day because there's only one session and people have been waiting for it for a year. So if you know what you want, sign up early. And I am here to help you. You can email us at help@bravewriter.com if you have questions about class selection, placement, age level. We do want to make sure that you have a good fit for you and your family. Thank you for joining me today. The last thing I want to tell you is we will go over this online class information in more detail during our free summer camp. It is a 2-day, all-day long webinars of all things Brave Writer, and it's July 24th and 25th. We will be putting out information very soon for you to sign up for those webinars, totally free. I would love it if you get the word out for us. We don't have access to homeschoolers. You do. So help us spread the word. It's very beneficial to you and Brave Writer because as we grow, we can have more offerings and make a great program for everybody. We have a whole bunch of new teachers we're hiring this summer and training, so that's exciting. So thank you very much for joining me today. Have a fantastic Monday. Live honestly, write bravely. I'm Julie Bogart for Brave Writer.